Okay, it's going to get good now. So when our last video talked about Jacob dying, and the brothers took him to the cave and buried him with his grandfather and his father and his grandmother and his mother and Leah, one of his wives. Then they all came back to Canaan and lived for a long time. And Joseph lived for a very long time. It said he lived for 110 years. But when they came back, the brothers got kind of afraid. Now Dad's gone. Joseph's going to, really do bad things to us because of what we did to him. So they went to him and they said to him, "We did a wrong thing to you and we are sorry. Please forgive us." And Joseph cried, and they cried, and everything was clear between them. And Joseph said, "You think you did an evil thing, but really God was in control. And God is the reason that I was sent to Egypt, so that I could help everybody not to starve. God had a plan all along. You thought you were doing something, but it was really God. And I'm not angry, and I love you." And so after that, they got along very well and everything went along. And so time went by. And the Israelites, remember, God said, "I'm going to make of you a great nation." He said that to Abraham, and he said it to Isaac, and he said it to Jacob. And it starts to happen here in Egypt. All the brothers are having babies. All their children are having babies. There's just a lot of them, okay? It's a big, big family. Lots of them. And then time goes by, and Joseph lived to 110, and he told his relatives that God was going to take them back out of Egypt, and they were going to go back to that land that was promised to them by God. That land, the name is Canaan, and they're going to go back. God will take them back. And he said, "Please take my bones with you." Okay? So now time has gone by, and there's a new king. And this king in Egypt does not know who Joseph is and has no idea what has happened, and just knows that all of these children of Israel, remember, that was Jacob. Israel is his new name. So now these people are called Hebrews. I don't know why. And Israelites. So that's what they're called. And he's saying these Israelites are gonna, there's so many of them, and they're strong, and they're gonna just take over. He said, if we get a war, they might side with the enemy, and then they'll just get rid of us, and we can't have that. So what he decided to do is to make these Israelites work really hard, and he put masters over them, so they had to work, and they had to build stuff constantly, no rest. They couldn't take breaks. And I think they were thinking that if they worked them so hard, they wouldn't have time to have any babies. But that didn't happen. They kept having babies, and they kept working them hard, and they worked them so hard that they were miserable. That's what I was trying to say. Miserable. Wouldn't you, if you never got to rest while you were working? Miserable. Well, time goes on by, and the Pharaoh says they're still having babies. So there was these two ladies. They were part of the Israelites, but they were women who helped women have babies. You know how your mommy goes to the doctor and you go to the hospital to have the baby? Well, these were women that were experienced in childbirth. And so they didn't have a hospital to go to. The women would go to the people's house and help the mommies have the babies. And the Pharaoh said to these women, when you go and help these women have babies, if it's a boy baby, kill it. And if it's a girl baby, you can save it. Well, the women didn't agree with that, so they didn't do that. the women said they feared God more than they feared Pharaoh. So they didn't do that. And then they kept having the babies. And then Pharaoh went to them and said, "Why didn't you do what I said?" And the ladies said, "Well, because these women are really strong. And when we get there, they've already had their baby." And God blessed them for not killing the boy babies. So then Pharaoh had to come up with another idea. So Pharaoh told all the people that any time there was a boy baby born, they were to throw it in the river. And if it was a girl baby, they could keep it. Well, there was a tribe. Now we're going to call them tribes. Now all the sons of Jacob are tribes. And one of them, remember the son Levi? Well, it said this man who was a Levi married another lady, and she was a Levi. And so they had a baby. It doesn't give their name. It probably gives their name later, and I'll tell you when I find out or when I read it, but it doesn't give their name. I think her name was Jochebed, if I remember. I can't remember. I think Jochebed was her name. But she had a baby boy, and she said when she saw that he was a goodly child. Now, one translation said he was beautiful, and every mommy thinks their baby's beautiful. But it also could mean he was healthy. How could you throw a healthy baby in the river? How could any mommy throw any baby in the river? So she hid him. And she hid him for 3 months. And that's really hard because babies can be really loud. So she hid him for 3 months. But after 3 months, she was afraid she couldn't hide him anymore. So she made a basket. She made a basket out of river grass. Very strong river grass. And then she painted the inside of it with tar so the water wouldn't seep in. And then she put her baby in it. And I think it had a lid. So, it's a basket with a lid. And so she could hide her baby. And she put the basket at the edge, in the grass, at the edge of the river. The Nile River remember the Nile is the one that goes all over Egypt. And people go to Nile for everything. Wash your clothes, take a bath, get water. So she put the baby down at the edge of the river. And then the baby had a big sister. And it doesn't give us the sister's name right here, but I'll tell you I already know the sister's name. The sister's name is Miriam. And Miriam was a lookout. And so the Pharaoh's daughter came to the river with her servant girls to get a bath. And she saw the basket at the edge of the water, and she sent her girls to get it. And when they opened the basket, there was this beautiful baby inside. And the baby was crying. And she felt sorry for the baby. And she kind of fell in love with the baby. Who doesn't fall in love with a cute baby? And especially a baby that's crying, you want to take care of it. And she said, this is one of those Hebrew babies, or the Israelite baby. And then Miriam came up and said, "Ma'am, would you like me to go find somebody to take care of it for you for a little while it needs to be bottle fed?" They didn't bottle feed, they nursed. And you can ask your mommy what that means. But they nursed babies, they didn't have bottles. And so they would need somebody to nurse the baby. And so Miriam says, "I can find you a nursemaid." And so the Pharaoh's daughter said, "Yes, keep the baby with this family until it doesn't need to be nursed anymore, and then the baby can come live in my house with me." And so that's what happened. Then the baby went and lived with the Pharaoh's daughter after he didn't need to be nursed anymore, and she named him Moses because she pulled him out of the water. And Moses means to be pulled out, I think. I did want to tell you that we're not in Genesis anymore. We are now in Exodus. That's the second book of the Bible. And Exodus, you know what exit means? Exit means to leave. So Exodus is the story of the children of Israel, the Israelites, the Hebrew children, leaving Egypt. So it's going to be really exciting really soon. So come back and see me on our next video.